Okay, chapter 14 here. I'd apologise for the extremely long delay, but frankly I don't give a fuck. Gonna do some trap making here, some upgrading I should say. Because, well, the level 2 Thor hammer just isn't enough. Needs to be a level 3 Thor hammer. Because that 3 makes all the fucking difference. Fortunately in this game, upgrades are cheap as shit. You only pay the extra Drek for the upgrade orb, so it only cost me 2,000 to increase that. If I'd bought it separately, 8 to 10. So I got a bit of a bargain there. Gonna change around with our vases here. The Chaos Orb's an interesting one. Basically, depending on which trap it's applied to, it gives a different effect, and some of them are pretty weird. The Cursed Emblem, I should say, not orb, changes the trap to inflict a status effect, and in this case with the vase it's oil. Only going with level 2 on this one because frankly I couldn't really afford level 3, and it is a bit of a risk considering I've never actually tried it. I don't know how useful it is, considering that most of my flaming traps at this point are actually the ceiling ones, which means I can't use them at the same time. So, bit of a problem there. I probably should have thought of that before I bought it, but anyway. Bit late now, particularly since I recorded this footage some weeks ago. Anyway. Getting the vacuum floor in instead of the spring floor because the blast floor is significantly more useful in this case. And a chapter entitled Crossroads of Destiny does not have me thinking this is going to end well for anyone. Because really, we get more exposition here. And yeah, Queen Margareta revealing once again that she is, in fact, a complete and utter bitch. Much like most of the cast of this game, actually. And we're back in the castle. You can tell it's the castle because it's got the giant blue flames everywhere. Here we have a man named Dyer, which is rather insightful because that's exactly what's going to happen to him, or should I say what he's going to be. I don't think the idea of not putting up a fight had ever actually occurred to me at this point. They're here to kill me, I'm here to kill them right back. Unfortunately, you can see me realise right about now when I was playing that only having one flame trap and an oil trap is a bit of a problem when they both sit in the same slot. So, yeah. Trying out the vacuum floor here. Anyone caught in the radius of it gets sucked into the centre. It does, however, have the problem that it basically does not do any real damage. At all. It's rather weak in that respect. So we're rearranging our traps here. I had thought to use the cold arrow to freeze them in place and get a bit of extra time. Then I realised that there is a giant flaming thing of death there, which I can send flying into them. And thus the vacuum floor combo with the thunder wall was thought up. So you can see it there, it sucks both of them into it. The Thor hammer goes off, sends one of them flying, and the thunder wall retaliates and finishes him off. I don't think it's Bianca's beauty he's blinded for, but the electricity that arced through his eyes, and possibly the flaming splinters of metal that went there afterwards. Because seriously, fucking splinters of red hot metal. They don't tend to leave things without scars. We're going back to an old favourite of the traps here. I've used this combo a couple of times. I'm gonna bear trap him. I'm gonna whack him with the cold arrow to keep him still for a little bit longer. Then I'm gonna drop a flare rock on him. Only it's gonna be more complicated than that. As you can see, he gets bear trapped right there. There's the cold arrow. And now I'm going to drop the flare rock and turn this all nice and smooth so that it falls down on top of him and he slides down to the bottom. I did not unfortunately get the chance to finish that by dropping him in the pit there. And yes, you are worthless because you are just a corpse. A corpse that does nothing for us. You know, if Bianca had any control over necromancy, this would be far more interesting. But as it is, not really. So we're changing rooms now because I've kind of exhausted the possibility of traps in that area, and I would rather fight this guy one-on-one than have to figure out exactly how to deal with it. But I don't actually remember what trap combo I used here. I think what I had worked out was the old favourite where I would just, you know, drop him in the water with the lightning and into the water wheel and all that good stuff. So this is the problem with such a large gap between recording the video and then watching it to do the audio. I'm almost as in the dark as you lot are. I do not exactly remember what was done here. I think I know what I ended up doing, but I'm not entirely certain. Yeah. In fact, I have absolutely no idea what I was thinking when I did this, or if I was thinking at all. I think at this point I've actually given up on the old traditional one, and I'm just going with an old favourite. Because, you know, I can, basically. So, it's actually a bit of a variant on an old favourite because it's got the cold arrow rather than anything else. So that hit him, but I don't think it really did anything because he was already in there, and now I'm going to rapidly switch traps. I'm not sure why I did that. Actually, that's why. I'm going to electrify him to death underneath there. And yes, it would be easier to kill Bianca than take her alive. The fact that none of you have actually figured that part out yet kind of implies that you're a bunch of fucking morons. Which suits me just fine because it makes this so much easier. And, you know, frankly, I don't have to care about them because they're a bunch of morons. You know, I'm not normally for eugenics, but some people just don't. Some people need to be escorted out of the gene pool by the lifeguard. You know, chlorination isn't all bad, people. Well, it's for getting rid of bad people, but it isn't all bad, people. I have no idea why I just had to explain that joke. I'd like to be able to blame, you know, being drunk or anything like that, but you see me screw that up right there, because I had actually assumed that the water would carry up and it didn't. So now I've got a problem on my hands. Which is to say that she's not dead yet. And that's going to be an issue. Because, yeah. Obviously I can't use those blocks there because that, I believe, is where the launcher, not the launcher, the giant spinning fan blades up top are technically considered to be. And the game gets thingy about you using your own traps in the same block as devices. Or possibly it's that there's still the wall in the way, I'm not sure. Don't remember. So I need to adjust things. Because, yeah. Medulla is a spellcaster and she will tear my shit up if I let her. Cannot afford that. So we're going to have to figure out some sort of way of dealing with this shit. Anyway. Readjusting things here because Medulla has a fair bit of stun resistance, as you'll see right about there. She gets stunned by it, but it still allows her to actually continue on a little bit. But that's gotten rid of her, I hope. And if it hasn't, I'm in a lot of trouble. Though the fact that I actually finished this video does kind of imply that, yeah, she's done for. That is the most disturbingly erotic sounding death scream I have heard in a long time. Unfortunately, there's more of them incoming. They both have very long life bars, and this is not the place to be fighting them, as far as I'm concerned. I think I need to be a long, long way away, so that I can tackle them one-on-one in a place with many, many more disturbing death traps. Like this particular room, where I can set things on fire to my heart's content. which is quite a lot of setting things on fire, I'll have you know. Yeah, I don't actually remember what combo I had in mind for this one, because it's been so long since I recorded this footage. I have a sneaking suspicion that I had to play a bit smart alecky because one of the guys in this thing is immune to fire. Well, that may have been the last video, I don't really remember. But I'm going back to a lot of my old favourites here, because, frankly, I just flat out don't like these people. And now we get a little bit of a wait while we wait for Barbarossa, who should be the first one through to come fuck my shit up. Hopefully he's going to walk right onto that bear trap, I hope, because he has a lot of health and I kind of need this combo to work to get rid of him. You can see the spears down here on a timer, because seriously, I don't think a giant rock, a bear trap, and a minecart by itself are going to do the job with this guy. He's pretty large. You can see him sort of ambling across the screen like some sort of angry Goliath. To Bianca's incredibly anti-religious David. And there's the bear trap. Give it a few seconds because I have to time this right to get him into the spikes. There's that. And there's that. And hopefully he's going to stand up now and I can finish the job. No, he's not. That bastard. Why couldn't he have just stood up and let himself be impaled again? I find this terribly inconvenient. And that was not a particularly smart thing to do, what I did just there, run back past the two of them. And that was very, very close to getting me horribly murdered right there. Which is, of course, the end goal of all the enemies in this game, the horrible and utter murder of Bianca. But we're going to change things a bit here. We're going to try and send them into the giant exploding thing of, you know, gunpowder. Black powder, gunpowder, whatever it is, it goes boom quite nicely. Anyway, so we're going to need some traps in order to do this. Because while the Thor hammer will put them next to it, it won't, you know, detonate things. So we're going to unfortunately our trap there only got one of them, so I'm in a little bit of trouble here. I need to keep dodging long enough for the Thor hammer to... Oh no, I've got both of them. Boom. I'm going to go with C, both of the above, for that one. Bianca is something of a psychotic bitch. Unfortunately, Holvain here, who likes to throw explosives, is, as I remember, immune to fire. You won't see me do it, but I do actually occasionally check the enemy's strengths and weaknesses tab. It's only accessible during the mission, however you can't pre-plan for sort of anything beforehand. You've got to have a wide variety of traps ready. Because if you've gone, say, all elemental of fire, and somebody comes in who's immune to fire, he's going to fuck your shit up. He's going to beat you like a red-headed stepchild and ride you like a rented pack mule. To continue the S&M themed metaphors of this game, pretty much. Unfortunately, you'll see here me trying to set up a trap that doesn't actually work, as I recall. You'll see me change it in a second, because I've realised this. The reason it won't work is because the stairs down there are low enough that somebody standing in the middle will actually go under the props. So we're going to need to change these things. And in fact, we're going to need to change them up here so that I can actually drop a pair of, you know, the props on him. This is going to be slow, ugly work, but it does in fact work. As opposed to my previous trap setup, which did not work in the fucking least. So I'm only going to use one prop on this one, and you'll see why in a second. As I remember, what I'm planning on doing, if I can get this right, is pretty simple. I'm going to bear trap him. I'm going to drop one of the props on his head. Or possibly two of them. Yeah, two of them sounds good. And I'm going to hope that kills him, because if it doesn't, I'm in a bit of a pickle. You know, as in there may not be enough of me left, you know, fill something the size of a pickle. Fortunately, Holvain isn't very intelligent. And we're going to drop a pair of those on him. And that'll finish the job, I believe. Yep. Damn right, Bianca's merciless. I mean, seriously, can you imagine somebody with that face granting mercy? It just doesn't work. She's psychotic. And apparently deaf. Because, seriously... yes, someone is indeed in need of our powers. It's Bianca, who has developed something of a sense of self-preservation at this point. And, you know, if I was Bianca... Yeah, that's exactly what you want to tell Bianca. Help her get revenge, because she's not unhinged enough already, you dumb shit. And this is the point where the game branches into the two different storylines. We're going to go with this simply because, you know, Bianca seems to want revenge. And, well, Bianca just really wants revenge. So, we'll get what Bianca wants, which is gallons and gallons of blood splashed all over the screen. And, you know, if I was Cecilia, I really wouldn't trust Bianca at this point, because, frankly, it's Bianca, who's about as trustworthy as a... There isn't really a snake that's actually as untrustworthy as Bianca. I don't remember what the Rising Emblem does. You'll find out next video, I think. So I'll see you then.